Dunham,
Yes.
the people that are listening on YouTube Live,
Hello,
whatever
YouTubers.
you do to the music, you can talk over the top of it. They can hear it. I won't listen to the live version. Yeah, it's perfect.
I just faded away, man. That's
So
a trip.
I wish it worked that way on the export.
Right? There we go. Did Steve freeze? Hello, Steve.
Oh, maybe he did. There's ghosts in the machine.
Oh, Steve left.
Yeah, well, here we are. Steve will be back.
Yeah. Hello, boys and girls. It's the Chris and Mike show.
We're having technical difficulties.
We are having technical difficulties today. We have a guest named Steve Feldman that's here, but he disappeared, and I'm sure he'll come back because, that's how it happens when you're having fun with technology.
Yes.
So while we're waiting anxiously for Steve to return, how are you, Mike?
Well, I'm just getting over being sick, and let me tell you, when they say summer colds suck, they're
Yeah.
not kidding. I had it for exactly a week.
Oh, that is terrible.
Yeah, today's the first day I feel like a halfway human being.
Right on. And it was just like a regular cold, nothing crazy.
Yeah, one of those stupid upper respiratory infections. I had no energy, though. It's like every time I get sick now since I had COVID,
Yeah.
it just zaps every amount of energy I have in my body for like 3 days, 4 days.
I can be in touch with that because it happens when I get colds too. It's like, what the hell? Where's this coming from?
Yeah. Can't move.
It's crazy. It's crazy bizarre.
I'm a fair weather feeling good kind of guy, When
Yeah.
I don't
Oh,
feel
yeah.
good, I'm a typical male. I'm fucking dying. It's all over.
Because when every guy gets sick, it's the end of the world. Is
Yeah.
all my stuff good? My volume and everything?
You know what? I should watch yours better.
Yeah. Hello.
You can turn up a little bit.
How is that?
That's perfect.
All right,
Everybody
so-
can hear
so-
your
so-
radio-friendly voice.
There you go. So again, we have a guest on the show, but he bounced for some reason. Probably technical difficulties and whatnot. As I can see us now, we're streaming upwards at 96%. So we're styling. So while we wait for Steve to come back, so obviously you've heard of the flood, right? That happened in Texas.
Unbelievable, man.
Right. So did you hear the story about the one Coast Guard rescue swimmer that was on scene before anybody and saved 165 people?
I just read that article
Yeah.
right before I went to bed last night.
Crazy, right?
Talk about being at the right place at the right time, right?
Absolutely. And everybody who passed away is tragic. It's, it's senseless, but Mother Nature. Something happened back in in the same area previously because I saw something come up with Peter Jennings talking about a flood in that Texas area. So, the one catch with having those camps along Riverside, right? Because you want to have water. Nick and I talked about that. You want to have access to water for all the fun watery things. That's one of the side effects, right? You have crazy torrential downpours.
Yeah, and you can't imagine that you're going to have, that's probably
No.
100,000 year. That's probably
Yeah.
a 1,000-year event. That
Yeah.
probably happens once every 10,000 years. Maybe.
Sure, absolutely, which is insane. Lamar
look at all
Hunt, yeah.
Look
Go
at
ahead.
all the years that these people that are on television saying, I went to that camp and they're in their 40s and 30s and 20,
Yeah. Oh,
generations of kids went to that camp and no problems. But when it rains 1 billion gallons in
yeah. Right?
what,
Nothing.
24 hours, 30
Something.
hours?
Something. Yeah.
Just
the
a
time-lapse
crazy
footage
short
is
amount of
insane.
time.
The Kansas City Chiefs owner lost a 9-year-old daughter.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. Which, the one, it's, tragedy is tragedy, but that will shine more light on it because of that, and as far as people jumping on the bandwagon. Like I saw this thing and I'm all about helping people and giving back, that, right? The heart's in the right place, all that kind of jazz. But
Absolutely.
Blake Shelton and Luke Bryan, okay? They took a photo opportunity in the back of a truck with all the supplies. Oh, we're going to do some good. Like, okay, you do good without the cameras, man.
I
Steve's
hate
back.
that shit.
Right? Because
Welcome back, Steve.
all it was promotion. All it was, oh, look at us. I'm Blake Shelton. I'm Luke Bryan. We're in the back of this pickup truck and we're going to take stuff to the folks in dire need. Well, do it without the camera, man.
Right.
So
Just do it.
Yeah. So
You
what
hear
we
me?
were
Are we
talking.
still
Yeah,
going?
we're live, man. We were just waiting for you to come back. So we were talking about the tragedy that happened in Texas, and we referenced
Bad.
that rescue swimmer from the Coast Guard that pulled 160 people to safety, 165 people to safety, and then.
Amazing.
Right, and then I brought up the fact that Blake Shelton and Luke Bryan did a photo op in the back of a truck. Like, okay, give to give, man. Don't give to sell records, because that's how that comes across to me. Well,
Me
look
too.
at us,
Real
Look at
people.
us. Right, right,
Real people in the pit doing it, man.
exactly. They're the one, like that Coast Guard guy, being the first
Yes.
one on scene. That
Yeah.
dude deserves the act, but he was just doing his job. But still. That's 165 souls. I mean that dude can do no wrong for the rest of his
Oh my
life.
God, man.
No,
You
I bet he
kidding
gets a
me?
lot of Christmas cards.
I bet, yeah. Free dinners, tacos. So again, this will kind of start how we usually start. Hey, this is the Chris and Mike Show. We're streaming right now live on YouTube and Twitch. We have Steve Feldman as our guest. So Steve, give us a little elevator spiel about who you are, what you're all about, so we know how we're going to dive into this conversation, because it's always real, raw, and relevant.
Absolutely.
Wow, man. Well, this is awesome. I appreciate you guys allowing me to get on here, man. And
Very nice to meet you. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, nice to meet you guys as well. So, I'm just starting this journey, man, fulfilling my purpose of helping people free themselves, their lives up from addiction,
Right on.
and hopefully bringing them closer to Christ. That's the plan. And
Cool.
For me, I started out at a young age. What I thought was a normal family, and
Okay.
I'm the youngest of four, an older
Nice.
brother and two older sisters.
Okay.
And when I was very young, like 12, I had back surgery. I had a slip vertebrae from playing baseball, and that put me out of commission for a whole summer. I had a full body cast, whatnot,
Okay.
but once I went back to school, I had to wear this body brace,
Oh yeah.
and
I've seen those.
Yeah, where
for
your
sure.
legs were kind of
Absolutely.
out, like you kind of walked funny with your legs. Was it that kind of
no,
brace?
no,
No, 'cause
No,
I had a-
this was
I
the straight up and down kind.
Okay, because I
Yeah.
had a friend in elementary school. He fell off the monkey bars, and then something happened with his spine, so he had this weird little get up where it was
Oh.
like it was the torso, but he had to walk like that. Like
I know what you
these are my
mean,
legs. Yeah,
man.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I asked.
But-
It wasn't,
Yeah.
because we like to get a visual for the people that are
Sure, man.
watching
Yeah.
and listening. So okay, so
So-
body cast.
Yeah, it was just a little thin plastic urethane thing, my
Okay.
waist up to my chest. But man,
Yeah.
I felt embarrassed. I would wear, a vest
Sure.
or a jacket, and
Yeah.
so I kind of just at that point I gravitated towards a different crowd of people.
Okay.
When I was at that point after the surgery and all that had happened. And I was the youngest, so my brother and sisters had boyfriends,
Okay.
and my parents were very social. So my mom was an alcoholic, and my dad didn't drink. So that created a lot of riff in the home of itself.
Sure. So you're 12 when you had the surgery, and then so you mentioned your siblings had boyfriends and girlfriends. So what's the age gap?
Well, my brother is like 5 years older than I am.
Okay, okay.
And then 7, 8 years sisters.
Okay. So you were legit the baby. Like were you a whoops, Steve? Were you like, uh-oh, we're having another one?
They never said it like that.
Okay.
They said I was their favorite.
Right on.
I don't know, man.
That's what I tell my son, you're my favorite son. Then my daughter's like, what? I'm like, well, you're my favorite daughter, Sky. So
1 and 1, right?
yeah, buddy. Yep.
That's the way, man. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. So that's it. I saw a lot of partying with my sister's boyfriends,
Okay.
and they introduced me to a joint when I was 12.
Okay.
And I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Right.
And there was drinking always going on, booze
Sure.
in the house. And
Yeah.
so, my first drug and drink was at 12.
Okay. So this is going to be fun. You're not the youngest one. We had a guy on the show that his first experience with pot was when he was 6.
Come
True
on,
story.
man.
Hippie,
True
yeah, hippie.
story.
Like he posted a picture. Yeah,
He had straight up
yesterday.
hippie parents.
Yeah, hippie parent, and then he gets pulled from that and goes polar opposite to like an evangelical Midwest Bible thumping family
In Minnesota.
in Minnesota.
He went from California to Minnesota.
Yeah,
Wow.
in the time of
Shock.
the hippies, man.
And this is
That
a friend
is-
of Chris's, so we know that this is a true story.
Yeah, yeah.
This
it
isn't
was
just some
crazy.
guy that we didn't know. This is an actual friend of Chris's.
Yeah.
He's known for years, and we didn't know that. We were both like, holy crap, 6 years
Yeah.
old?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
man.
so you're the second youngest at 12. Congratulations,
Yeah,
Steve.
12's bad
I
enough.
appreciate it. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, 12's bad enough.
Right. Okay, so we're partying, we're drinking, we got introduced to pot and beer when we were 12. There's all
Yep.
kinds of parties going on around you with the older siblings. You know, pick it up from there.
Yeah, so my parents, they're hard workers, man. Just multiple jobs, entrepreneurial spirited. You know,
Okay.
we had a little ice cream store,
Nice.
a little corner store, pizza place, and stuff. And my family was very deep into bowling.
Okay.
All right, we're all bowlers.
Yeah. Right
So
on. And where are you from?
from originally Rochester, New York,
Okay.
and now I'm near Syracuse, New York right
Okay,
now.
cool,
But I
cool.
took 20 years in Pennsylvania, had a bowling center and stuff there.
Wow.
But so you know, we were always into bowling, and bowling
Yeah.
is drinking and
Yep.
having
Oh,
fun,
Yep.
and right. So my parents got asked to manage a bowling center in Rochester, New York, and not a bowling center. It was like in a moose club, it was a little downstairs place. They, you know, so they enjoyed it, but there was a bar in there,
Sure.
and so I was able to continue sneaking things around at a very young age, and
And for those that aren't familiar, Moose Lodges were private clubs, so you could get away
Yeah.
with murder in those places. They gambled, they drank,
Hookers and
did
blow.
whatever.
Hookers and blow.
Probably a lot of that went on too.
Boats,
at one
boats
time.
and
Who
hoes.
knows?
'Cause
Boats and
boats
It
and
depends on the age demographic of the people
Okay.
who were frequenting the Moose Lodge. It sounds like
Okay.
his was a younger crowd, ours was an older crowd. So
Okay.
not a lot of that going on.
So
at
so
our
not a
Moose
lot
Lodge.
of not a lot of like eyes wide shut stuff going on. Just
yeah, it
No.
was an older crowd, to,
Okay.
you know, to start out.
Okay.
I appreciate
there
that, Mike. Clarifying that for Chris. Man. But yeah, so that was our start to the bowling business, and they
Okay.
turned that around and really enjoyed it. So a couple years in, you know, they wanted to take it further and buy their own bowling center. So we packed up and went to Skinny Atlas, New York, which is
Really? That's-
outside.
That's a
Skinny
great
Atlas.
name.
That's a
Skinny
serious-
Atlas.
That's a legit name.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
it's a sweet little town, little
That's
resort,
cool.
beautiful
Cool.
lake, and so we moved there. And before I moved there, I was fortunate enough to have a family member turn me on to cocaine.
Oh,
Yeah, so that was at 16.
fortunate
there,
enough.
too?
Okay, so now that's the youngest we've had somebody come on that has had cocaine, because I don't
Yes.
know anybody else that's had cocaine at such a young age. Okay.
Nope.
Yeah, so
And it was the cocaine from Cuba, or was it Colombia?
yeah,
Colombia, Bam Bam.
I think that was city coke.
Oh,
But
Dang it.
it was a. I just thought everything was fun, man. You know,
Yeah.
I was young and
well, rightly so.
and so and then we got submerged into a fun industry, and the bowling and the bar
Oh, the
business.
bowling. Yeah.
So we moved to Skinny Atlas, and I'm the new guy in town, and I don't think I have any problems. You know, I think everything's great, and so we have a center there, and that just continued on, and it was my senior year of high school. I moved there,
Okay.
and you know, shortly thereafter, I'm in my first marriage. I've got kids. I'm 20.
Right out of high school, or did you go
Right
to
out-
college? Okay.
I didn't go to college.
Okay, so
I
right
did.
up-
I did for about 3 months. Yeah.
Okay.
That was the end of that. I was in the business world, and
Okay.
so,
So how young were you when you got married?
I was just turned 20,
Okay. And when you
And,
graduated high school, how old were you?
18.
Okay, cool. So you had a 2-year party, have fun.
yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And it just continued on. I had 2 kids.
Yeah.
One right immediately, and then another one 4 years down the road. 2 boys.
Oh, right on.
And
Still in contact with them today?
yes. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yep. Yep. They're in my dedication in my book.
Oh, good. And what's
Right
the name
up
of the book?
front. it's a book, but it's also a complete. It's a complete Christ-centered addiction recovery program.
Okay.
All right, and
Cool.
it's called The Process,
Okay.
and that's set to release in September.
Nice.
Awesome.
So that's
Congratulations.
Yeah.
thank you.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that, man. I'm excited.
And
I
now-
know what kind of hard
now
work
what-
goes into that much. Writing a book, well, Chris will tell you he's done it, but
Yeah.
any kind of artist just knows what amount of work goes into that. And I appreciate what you did. And to sit here and be able to say that you completed it and it's being released, that's a huge accomplishment, man.
Well, I appreciate that, man. It's thank you for that. It's I don't even consider myself an author or a writer, to be honest. The way that all came out and happened, because I mean, I don't know your experience, Chris, but I mean, for me, writing, I hated school, I hated writing, and how this thing
Yeah.
went down was pretty was a testament to God and everything to begin
Right
with.
on. That's good. Yeah, I wanted to be a writer when I grew up. So when I was going to college, I went for journalism, and then did that for a while and realized you don't make any money being a journalist. And like any journalist, I just transferred the major from journalism to theater because both are such guaranteed successful industries. But then I realized that later that the acting and the writing all kind of came to a head when I put it with music, because then it sufficed all of that, because I was a different person when I stepped on stage than I was walking around, chilling out and stuff. So, but that's so so I've just always been a writer since senior year in high school. All I've done is write.
Is that what you do?
No, I sell houses. I'm a real estate guy.
You are the real estate guy.
Yeah. Well, Arizona trademarked everything.
Wow.
He's the
That's
man.
Very cool.
There you go.
I thought I saw that on your site, man. Yeah.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
thought
Chris
it
and
was
I
just
were in a
something you
band
threw
together.
out there.
That's how we knew each other.
Yeah, Mike and I were at unbeknownst to either one of us, we were at a Candlebox show, and he was in front of me, I was behind him, and I was singing along to the singer, and this long-haired, creepy dude, Mike, kept turning around looking back at me, and so finally about the third or fourth time, I'm like, this motherfucker's like mad at me, he's going to try to kick my ass son. And then half the stage power goes out, and he turns around again, I'm like, geez, really? Bust out a business card. I'm in a band looking for a singer. Do you sing? I was like,
Come on, man.
yeah.
I totally forgot that part of the story.
Yeah.
I did. I remember asking him if he was a singer, but he's like, no, you had a business card and everything.
Yeah, no, he whipped it out. Like Desperate Angel was the name of the band at the time. Had his name and his phone number on there, and and 30 some odd years later, we're still friends, and it's
30 years later.
Yeah.
Wow, man.
93, 94 ish, somewhere around there.
We ruled the 90s in the hard rock world.
Yeah, yeah.
As far as
Yeah,
Phoenix was
me too.
concerned.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. We were. Yeah. It was good. It was a good time. But that's how we kind of met, and that's So the song you heard in the beginning, that was us. That was our song, Free Man.
No kidding, man.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome, man.
So let's go back to Steve. So you have a book coming out called The Process, which was Christ centric about recovery of addiction. Mike and I are both recovering addicts. I'm over 20 years sober. Mike, we think we decided is about 15 or so, 15 to 18, somewhere in there.
Yeah, 15
Awesome,
plus
man.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's why we love having people like you on the show, because it shows there's another side to being an addict, right? There's a recovery aspect, and then we've had people on that actually have. The one that smoked a joint when he was 6, he actually is now, I don't want to say counselor, but he works in depth with addicts and helped them recovery and stuff. So he's kind
Awesome.
of did what you did. He hasn't written a book yet, although I told him, like, dude, you should write a book. Just if when you get a chance, the show we did was Mike LaRose. It's one of our other ones on the thing. You think you would dig his story, considering the same
It's
kind
the
of
third most listened to episode, only behind the beginning and the second one, for obvious reasons.
right.
I
right.
saw it. I was just scrolling those yesterday.
Definitely
and I'm
listen
like,
to his. You'll enjoy that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I will.
Yeah, so let's go back to I want to find out what your moment was, because like for me, as an alcoholic, I'm fine, and then my wife and I had this big blow up, and then which we never argued, and we still don't argue to this day. We've been together 30 almost 32 years now.
Nice.
But I woke up the next day and I was like, I felt like something had to change. So that was my thing, was the day before this drawn out 3-4 hour argument So the next day I'm like, okay, that's when I Googled AA and I started my process and that stuff. So what was it that we left off your story with? You're married, you had 2 kids, you're 20 years old, right a couple years out of high school. So pick it up from there, because I want to know what was the catalyst that made you shift your mindset and your thinking from where you were to where you are now?
Yeah, it's a great question, and as I'm starting this journey of having to speak and
Yeah.
talk about it, I just threw myself out here.
Good.
Literally in the last 30 days
Okay.
of putting myself on podcast, just
Cool.
starting to talk about the process, and so and that question is I don't have a where somebody says, yeah, back in 2011. Something happened. There was an accident or this or that.
Right.
I was tied up for 35 years in addiction.
Wow.
So
Okay.
in and out,
Okay.
in and out.
How old are you now?
I'm 59.
Okay. So we started. So we starting your journey at 12.
Yeah.
Is that where we? Okay. So 12 years old, 35 years of just gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Go on. Wow.
So, it's
Yeah.
thinking you got it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sobriety from 3 months to 6 months to 6
Right.
years, 3
Yeah.
years, and going back. So it was probably 3 years ago that because I am a Christian, I went all in with Christ, and I met who's going to be my future wife here in the next month. So, and I commend you on 30 years, man. I don't have
Thank you.
that
Thank you.
with my first 3 marriages combined. So, yeah, you're doing good,
Yes, I
man.
got
I'm
one
still
marriage.
at 0, so
Yeah. Okay. So three marriages. So how long did the first one last?
That was 12 years.
Okay. And then was the addiction, was that the final straw that broke
It was
that?
just part of it, you
Okay.
know,
Okay.
and just, yeah, immaturity, the first marriage for sure, and,
Yeah.
I went through many, many years without thinking I really had a problem. And so I've
Well, of
had to do
course,
a
that's what
lot
we
of
do.
looking back, man, and
Yeah.
trying to put it together.
Oh,
I
yeah,
didn't
it
want to
took me
look
years.
back. Oh, I bet.
for sure.
Yeah.
I would say the first 5 years are still a blur, because I was trying to figure my life out again. So I appreciate that. Was your first wife an addict with you, or
No.
No?
We drank together, that was enough to do together, but
Okay.
I hit it pretty well. And really at the end of that, I wasn't even full blown. There was just an accumulation of things
Okay.
for the first marriage, just
Okay, no-
a man being very immature. I mean,
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, starting out at 20 for sure. Like my wife, when I got married, I was 25, she was 20. So I get the immaturity and you have to grow with that. So obviously I wasn't an alcoholic the entire time we were together. It more so, what am I, 20 now? We've been together 32. So it was like the 9th and 10th year where it just kind of started, building up. And then I just, I couldn't, by the last 6 months was probably terrible, but I wasn't, and I always point this out, I wasn't physically or abusive, things like that. I just emotionally wasn't there, right? I went physically, I did my job, I paid the bills, I provided, but there was no emotional connection. Like the booze had gotten in the way of all that. So with your addiction, I don't think we touched on that. Was it alcohol? Was it Coke? Was it pot? Was it an accumulation of all three?
I kind of went up the ladder with it all, and
Okay.
it was definitely once I moved to Skinny Atlas, the cocaine really
Okay. That took
got
over.
more and more, and the drinking was always there.
Yeah.
I'm like just over 2 years with no drinks,
Okay. Good job.
All right.
Congratulations.
and before that, in the last 30 years,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't think I went more than 6 months without a drink.
Wow. Okay.
So, I mean, everything dropped, and like in the last 3 years, everything
Yeah.
just dramatically changed. But
And you don't have a reason why it just changed. It just changed. You just woke up one day and was like, "Ah,
I just a long process
Okay.
that God brought me through, took
Yeah.
me through,
okay.
and then I think my future wife here was played a big part
Okay.
in this because she was a solid Christ follower herself, and
Okay.
and God had spoke to me a couple times and said some things, along the way, man, that were
Yeah.
very impactful for me. And
Sure.
so yeah, definitely 3 years ago was like, okay, this is it. You don't have any more opportunities.
Okay.
So yeah, it's
So-
no
so the-
one
so-
time event for me.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I mean, not everybody has one, but I'm just one of those things I always ask because it's always interesting to have the response because like
For
Mike
sure.
didn't have a one-time thing. Mike was accumulation. Our friend Mike, the 6-year-old smoking pot, his was an accumulation. He had to go through so many different levels of hell to get to
Yes.
the point to where it's like, oh, so I get that. So that's why I asked the question. Not necessarily, there's no wrong answer is what I'm getting at, Steve.
Yeah, yeah. So, and here's the other thing. So, yeah, the
Yeah.
cocaine ramped up, and then eventually that turned into crack.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
so that
And
was a dark path. That now, so
That's a dark path.
12 years with the first wife, divorce. How long does it take you to get married to the next one?
A couple years.
Okay, and then
Couple years.
was she
That
a party
went-
or two?
No, she
Okay.
drank,
Okay,
and that one went 10 years.
okay,
And yeah, the drugs and the alcohol, just all played a part.
right.
And and that at this point, I guess I didn't tell you, is I'm just shooting from the hip.
No, which is what we like, man.
So
That's why we do this.
in Skinny Atlas in 2000,
Okay,
we wanted to expand, and so we bought a bowling center in Bradford, Pennsylvania,
okay,
and I moved there,
okay.
and so I had that place for about 20 years.
Wow.
And once again, I was having problems,
Mhm.
but I was able to move and leave the area.
Hmm.
And this was out of Skinny Atlas.
Okay,
And that was the end of my first marriage,
okay.
breaking
So,
off.
so kind of like a fresh start in Bedford, right?
Yeah, Bradford. Yeah.
Bradford, sorry, Bradford.
Home of
yeah.
Zippo lighters.
Okay, see, my wife's from Punxsutawney.
Okay. Yeah,
You
right
know,
down the road, man.
Okay, you guys are close.
Yeah.
Zippo and Punxsutawney Phil. You got to get a commercial with Punxsutawney Phil lighting a Zippo, man. That would be classic.
That's
Oh, my
hilarious.
God.
Did your bowling centers come with the same clientele that a lot of bowling centers come with? In that not the greatest people hang out there?
Well, it's you party. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's
I
what
mean,
I'm asking.
Yes, absolutely.
You didn't have the PBA coming through your particular bowling center, is what I'm saying. There's
Well,
there's
I have.
Really?
for sure.
Yeah, yeah. My
Yeah.
niece was the best woman bowler in the world for a few
Wow.
years.
Wow,
Right
that's
on.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So that was cool.
So you guys just didn't do the coke and drinking so heavy on the nights that the PBA was there.
right, right. You know,
We
how
had
to
a bowling. We had a bowling alley in my town. I'm super familiar with the kind of people that hang out at a
Oh,
bowling
yeah.
alley on a regular
Yeah.
basis.
Right, and I mean, and that's man. I mean, so many good times and so many good people. But
For
when
sure,
the
man.
when the doors are locked, I'm staying, and there's a group of us staying, and
Right.
and but
That's what I'm asking.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
you nailed it. Yeah, Mike, for sure. But yeah, it got worse. With the crack, it got really bad. I mean, I did that for 15 years,
Wow.
Wow.
and it was pretty destructive. Lost relationships, lost businesses, marriages, and in the meantime, I'm into outpatient programs, AA, NA,
Right.
Celebrate Recovery, therapists, pastors, interventions
And you said you went about 6 months at best at a time, right?
without alcohol.
Okay.
But the drugs, I had 1 6-year sprint, but I was drinking during that time, but I thought I had it. Thought I had it all figured out then.
Yeah. Well,
so-
don't we all? Every addict has
Yes.
it figured out, man. I don't have a
Yeah.
problem. What are you talking about? I can stop
I got,
whenever I want to
I
stop.
got this all under control.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not. That Jack isn't. I don't touch that Jack in the freezer as I just keep filling it with water. Yeah, it's look, it's still full, honey. Then you
Now
have a
it's-
party.
now it's
then you-
vodka.
right? Then you have a party and you pull out all this. We had this citrus Sky vodka that was citrus flavored. It was fantastic, right out of the bottle. So we had this party and we pulled all the booze out of the freezer and they couldn't understand why it's a big chunk of ice in the Sky vodka. This guy. and you think you're being smart, and they're like, I knew. It's like once I got sober and sober Chris could be talked to, right? I don't know if this relates with you, but then all of a sudden you can have these rational conversations with your your future wife, with my wife. And then she realized, oh, sober Chris can be talked to. He listens. He can, he doesn't just fly off the handle and snap at little things. He's just like, oh. And then you start talking about all the things that how I hid the bottle of Jack in a brown bag behind a bag of ice. She's like, well, I knew it was there, And she worked at an Applebee's in the same complex as a Walgreens. So I would go up there when I ran out because it was all surface street. I'd take Jake, my son, put him in the truck, go get an 18 pack and a bottle of Jack, and then she'd come over for a break from Walgreens, from Applebee's, because they all knew each other, right? And oh, your husband was here. Oh, really? What was he doing? I bought a case of beer and a bottle of Jack, and had your son in the holding Reese's peanut butter cups. It's like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night. So, but you don't know that stuff. You don't know the eyes and the different people that see you as you're doing these things. You think it'd being all slick and shit, and it's just like, yeah. Everybody sees
And
it.
I would say that holds true for every addict, and they don't know it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't
Right.
know that you're completely irrational all the time, right? And everybody else can see it because they're sober, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I think about, and I was always had businesses, so I was always in
Yeah.
the public eye, and that was another part of my problem. I had to put on this facade
Right.
all the time, man. Life is good. I've got a nice wife. I've got homes. I've got cars and,
Yep.
and boats, and everything looks amazing. And I'm
Yeah.
a wreck
Yeah.
for many years. But yeah, that perception. I remember I've weighed as much as like 220 in
Okay.
the past,
And how tall are you?
5'11".
Wow.
Okay. We're about the
And-
same height then. Yeah. Okay.
And I remember at one point when I was down to 170, and I remember justifying it in my own mind because I was in my own business, with my
Right.
pants, the belt's tightened about 7 loops out, and I'm trying to
Right.
wear the right clothes. I'm thinking nobody knows. Everybody knows, man. Everybody knows what
Yeah.
you're doing. It's
When
a
I
joke.
moved back here in 2009, I was 128 pounds,
And how tall are you, Mike?
5'9".
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. See, when at the height of my drinking, I was about
I'm
224.
155 now, just
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. My height was 224, and then now I'm around 175, 178, depending on the day. Now, when working out became my new addiction, then my lowest I got was 166, but it was just lean. It was lean. I wasn't on a crack cocaine diet. So, reason why I bring that up, 5'11" and 170 pounds is legit as far as height to weight ratios, things like that. If it's done healthy, Steve.
Oh yeah. You weren't kidding, man. You wouldn't have told me that anything different back then. I believed.
Now during your journey of addiction, with the cars, the houses, the boats, things like that, did you ever get DUIs? Did you ever get in trouble with the law per se?
I mean, it's one of the blessings, man. How I stayed away from the law.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a DUI when I was young.
Okay.
When I was 17.
Yeah.
That was just driving into somebody's house. It wasn't a big thing.
Right.
But,
You drove into their house?
Yeah. Crashed
into
right
their-
into their house. Yeah.
Into their house. It wasn't a big thing.
Yeah, I
They
put a
wanted
hole
to
there.
expand anyway.
Yeah. It wasn't.
Wow.
But that was the younger days. But all in all, man, just carrying it on, into my
Yeah.
50s, man. So I have a message for the young people too. It's just don't take it into your 20s, man. Don't take it into your 30s. Don't take it into your 40s. I mean, you got to see it around. I mean, it's everywhere, man. It's in my own family here. The addiction is rampant, man, and it's just it sickens me. And I want to help people, man.
I was either fortunate or unfortunate that I knew I was going to die.
Wow.
So I was 35.
And what were you doing? Just drinking?
Oh, no, I did pretty much everything you could ever imagine. I mean, I was a musician,
Oh, jeez.
It found its way to me. I didn't, seek it out, or I wasn't ever buying it. It always was around, no matter where you're at, it is. If you're looking for that, right?
For sure.
So, like you got addicted to crack around the time that I was in my 30s in Phoenix, meth was super popular because it was coming up from Mexico, right? And it was dirt cheap and it was easy to find. So I can say safely that that's the only drug I've ever done that I did for the next 3.5 years straight as often as I could, right?
Yeah, brutal.
Yeah, it's the same as crack. It's just that
Yeah.
high is so intense and euphoric, you just never want it to end.
Oh, yeah, man, and that was part of my. It's amazing, man, that I'm here today
Agreed.
with a
I'm
clean
right there
bill
with
of
you,
health.
man.
Stayed out of jail.
Yeah.
That we have our faculties.
Uh-huh.
That was mine. I was suffering from psychosis, something terrible, and I thought I was going to have to live the rest of my life that way. So to
Wow.
have peace of mind again and just
Yeah,
peace in
Mike.
general, right? Where I can lay my head down at night and
Yeah.
I don't hear anything except my own thoughts.
You nailed it, man.
Fantastic.
That's the key word, peace. You know, that's
Yep.
what people are after. Um, and yeah, that's awesome, man. Good for you from breaking free. You know.
Thank you.
Like,
And I'm always careful to remind the people in my life when I'm a difficult individual, I'm protecting my peace of mind. That's
Yeah,
You know?
I won't compromise it today.
no,
No,
I can't.
you can't.
You can't. Chris can't, because we wouldn't be who we are today without
Yeah.
it.
Right.
So
Agreed.
Yep.
So you moved to Pennsylvania, opened another bowling center. You're the talk of the town. You got the keys and the bling and you know the suits and and like woo, look at me, I'm Steve. And then you're married again.
Yep.
Any
Married
children with
again.
the second marriage?
She had some children.
Okay, but
Yep.
none that you had together.
No. none
Okay,
there.
and then how long did that one lasted? 10 years.
Yeah, it was 10 years. Yeah.
So you're what? If I do my math right, you were 20 to 32, then about 34 to 44 with that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Sounds
So-
about right.
I can count. So now you're 59. So you've been single now this entire time because you referenced future wife. So 3
No.
years ago you met this woman.
We got done in about 2016, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when that ended.
Okay.
I got to
And
think
th-
of my,
and-
my time frames, man.
You're okay. So
Yeah.
did it just kind of run its course as the first one did in your mind, or was the addiction kind of had a play in it?
Well, it was the addiction definitely did.
Okay.
There was, I think, further back, I would discount that the drinking played a part or the addiction, but it was in it all.
Yeah.
And even when you got the timeouts that where you're clean for a while, it's man, you're still trying to figure things out, and it's still part of the problem.
Sure.
And it was definitely it created more problems, and then it got into
Snowballed.
a big mess of a relationship,
Gotcha. Okay.
infidelity and the whole nine,
Yeah.
and just a lot of lessons to be learned.
So
Lot of-
you're in
lot-
your 30s, 40s at this point?
Yeah.
He would be in his 30s because
40s.
it was okay 40s yeah a lot of character building for Steve.
Oh my God, man.
That's what I call that when God's checking you. It's character building.
That's a true
know.
story, Chris.
Yeah,
Yeah. This
yeah,
is what it is, man. It's still working it today, man.
Yep.
been
Every step in life is just a rung on that ladder as you keep climbing towards the ultimate goal, whatever that may be.
Yeah. So, that was. So yeah, the drugs and alcohol, they're infiltrated, through everything in life. It's part of it all,
Yeah.
man. I look back, man, and there was just the roads I took in different business opportunities that didn't go, and I thought, that's what I was going to say, I had money because you were talking about the bling and this and that.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
It wasn't loaded or anything, but
Right.
we were good.
You're comfortable.
and very comfortable.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't the typical, maybe an addict that doesn't have much. And, I did a lot because I had money, and
Right.
it was my God. And I just thought it could always save me. It could always get me out of something.
Yep.
And, it took, God had to drain me of every penny, twice.
So there was some type of moment that happened because if
lots.
yeah,
Over
a lot
35 years,
Right,
a lot of moments
Yeah.
where I didn't listen.
of right. Yeah, most people don't.
I like to call them a lot of rock bottoms.
Wow, you just got really loud, Mike. What happened?
Yeah, he
there?
did. You got a fan on, man?
Yeah, what's up, Mike?
That is really loud. Oh, there we go. That's better.
Something happened.
Remember that? Remember that? What was it? Is it live or is it Memorex commercial with the guy in the chair and the hair? So let's talk
There,
a little
that's
bit about the book. It's called The Process.
Yep.
And you, since you're not a writer, did you just kind of all of a sudden one day start having the idea, oh, I'm going to put pen to paper and put my thoughts down?
It's kind of how it happened.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just sitting down one day and literally, I'm just like, wow, man, everything in life's a process.
Mhm.
Everything is a process. And then it's like, bam, PR. And, because I've been through so many recovery programs,
Sure.
I'm like, okay. And I started putting scriptures with each letter.
Right.
It just
flowed.
started to go. And I'm a guy that will not, like, I can't sit at a computer, man, for an hour would be
Yeah.
a long stretch.
Right. Most
And-
addicts are ADHD, so it's squirrel,
For
squirrel,
sure.
squirrel, 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 and that's why a
Right.
lot of them chase that because that makes their brain shut up, and then they can focus on something. Whereas those that you think about it. I don't know the stats, but a lot of addicts are somehow have attention deficit on some level because, they just do. They're trying to self-medicate. That's what I was saying. They're trying to self-medicate. We had someone in our family that went down the path of meth and heroin, things like that. And it truly became a point of trying to feel normal because nothing they did would feel normal. So once they started experimenting with the drugs, that would give them some sense of normalcy, even though it was so far whacked
Yeah,
out.
right. Yeah.
They didn't realize it, but that's what, and then that becomes you just chasing. With the heroin part of it, you were just chasing the needle. You weren't chasing the high anymore. You were chasing the needle. Just when it pierced your vein, am I going to live this time? Or am I going to die this time? Or am I going to OD this time? That's the freaky thing about the heroin and stuff, at least from what I've had, my vantage point. I've never done anything worse than pot. I'm the boring one here.
Oh, yeah.
No, you're the smart one.
The smart one.
So I want to kind of dive. I don't want you to give up the contents. I don't want you to share too much about the book because we want people to go buy your book. But I want you to kind of talk about a little bit about what it is. I got to turn this volume off. Talk a little bit about, you kind of said it's Christ-centric, which is cool. So you have a lot of scripture and stuff involved with it. So you're taking all your knowledge and experience with all the different recovery outlets you did and kind of putting it
Yes.
all in one thing. Okay, cool.
That's
Yep.
cool.
Yeah, so I mean, even what you did say about the writing, I just want to throw out there because
Yeah, absolutely.
it all. I mean, and suddenly, I was, and it's part of my story is that the Holy Spirit just totally took over and just told me where to go with this and what to do.
Nice.
And I was writing 8-10 hours a day.
Wow.
I mean, it was crazy, man. I'm like, to know myself, to think that could be happening like that,
Yeah.
just, I look back and I'm like, well, it just wasn't me, man. I was guided because
You were the vessel.
I was the vessel.
Yeah, you were the
That's
vessel.
awesome.
That's why that makes right. And that's how, I mean, like Mike and I have talked about it that, when I write a song, I could be sitting here doing nothing and all of a sudden a line comes in my head and boom, 2 minutes later, there's an entire lyric of centered around
Yes.
one thing.
Yeah.
Mike's the same way. Mike will he'll be tuning on his guitar. All of a sudden, here's a riff. It's the muse. It's my
That's why I don't take any credit for it.
Right.
It's literally, I pull it out of the universe, right?
yeah
Yeah.
yeah. It's
I'm-
just it's yeah.
If somebody asked us if we were good, we just give them tickets to our show. Come see us play. you know?
Exactly. You be
You
the
let
judge.
us know. Mm-hmm. We played stuff that made us happy that we would want to hear on the radio or
Yeah.
on a CD or whatever.
Right.
But beyond that, I mean, we did it because we enjoyed it. We weren't looking for anything more than that to write a great song. Something that made us want to move. And I agree with what you're saying in that you become a vehicle when you're that close to any kind of art.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like you said, I think it's really cool because you don't like I don't I have this all of this happening created my purpose, and
Which
it's
is
just
awesome.
it's lit up my life.
Absolutely.
That's
and
awesome.
and so I envy people that play music and can sing, right? Because it's a gift, man. Because
Yeah.
if you don't have it, that's for sure.
Oh,
Most
absolutely.
definitely.
Absolutely.
So it's you get led to, like you said, just all of a sudden things start coming to mind and things come together, things get
Yeah.
aligned, and you're like, ooh, this is
Yeah.
good.
Right. So the book's called The Process. Is it a step-by-step thing, or is it just more of a first person, this is my journey, the things that worked for me or things that didn't work for me? Give us a little in depth on that part of it.
Well, I call it a radical approach to recovery.
Okay,
And
cool.
it's blending biblical principles
Okay.
with science
Okay,
and
nice.
manifestation techniques.
Right,
like that.
on. I've never
So
heard of that before. That's cool.
I believe it's I don't
Groundbreaking.
believe it's been out there.
Groundbreaking. There you
I
go.
think it's going to be a movement throughout the world. To be quite
Cool.
honest, man.
Right on.
So it's we start with the end in mind.
Okay.
Right? And I talk about creating and being your future. It's a 90-day program, and
Okay.
it's 7 steps along with the
Nice.
letters, the process.
Okay.
And I blend biblical principles with scientific research that backs
Okay.
up the manifestation, and creating your future self right out of the gate. We set the
Nice.
picture, we draw the vision, and we work from that person, that place,
Yeah.
instead of to it.
Oh,
So it's a
Very
complete
cool.
paradigm shift of the way you think about recovery.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
What's your time frame, or the way you just described it? It would be different for everyone, right?
Yeah, for sure. It could be. I mean, it's
Okay.
designed as a 90-day, but I mean,
Okay.
everyone's walk is different.
Sure.
And yeah, it could.
So you do have a time frame set up to where somebody could go from being at their worst, which all three of us have been there, to
Yep.
if you followed this program, you're saying in 3 months you should be on your way to recovery.
Your new
right?
habit
Yeah.
should form, right?
Yes,
Because
exactly.
everything's a habit. Kind of like I'm
Everything's
thinking
a
of,
habit.
right. I think when you say 90 days, I automatically went in my head to 75 hard, right? The workout thing that
Yep.
I've done a couple of times where it's discipline, and the more habit you do on a consistent basis, because consistency wins. That's the concept of it. It's the habit. You're breaking the old habit and replacing it with new habits.
Repetition
right?
is the mother of all skill.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
discipline and consistency.
Yeah.
And I believe in this 90-day program that your life will be completely transformed. And it doesn't mean it's all fixed and anything
Sure.
like that. But
Absolutely
if you
not,
follow
yeah.
the plan, you're going to be in a good place, man.
That's cool.
I like that.
Yeah. That's absolutely fantastic.
And one of the unique things that I've created with it is that when you buy the book,
Okay.
the program, is that because it's steps
Sure.
along with the letters, right? And I
Yeah.
give 2 weeks per step to,
Cool.
to work things, and I have a series of YouTube videos
Okay.
that I've created that you get with the book.
Nice.
So I'm walking you through the book itself, every bit of it, and I'm saying this is it. This is what you should be doing. This is where you should
Okay.
how you should be feeling. What an addict, what kind of mindset here. I've got all these things that can help you just kind of understand it. If it's one person that picks this book up and goes through it themselves with
Right.
one accountability person and God,
Yeah.
they can do it. And so I kind of walk them through the whole book, and they can
That's
look
good.
at the videos.
Is the book kind of like a workbook where
Yes, there's a lot
okay.
of questions in
Cool.
each step to ask yourself.
That's
and,
cool.
Yeah, it's
So
a
it's
a
really-
full blown
really-
program.
and it's full hands on, which is neat.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty different, man, but I'm excited.
Now, here's a question for you. So you release the book in September, and then you have the how to hold people accountable with the YouTube videos, things like that. Are you going to become a life coach or recovery and kind of do something like this where, hey, Chris, we're going to Zoom every Tuesday at 2:00 to make sure you're still following the steps, you're still following the outcome, you're still going for the outcome, whatever that, however you want to phrase it.
Absolutely. That's
Cool.
a big part of it. I mean, like you see, AA is the primary example of
Right.
all recovery programs, right? That's,
Sure.
I've built a complete program aside of the book that's not
Okay.
going out with the book that
Which is
will
good.
be, where people are going to be able to start their own programs in churches
great.
and in recovery centers. I mean, this is brand new, man. And,
Yeah. It sounds like it.
That's a
It's,
great idea there. I like that.
Yeah.
and I'm taking it as far as I've already can see another writing coming out for because I want to get to the inner city youth,
Yeah.
and just with manifestation techniques and getting these kids' minds right before they're ruined.
Yeah. Give us an example, if you would, of like a manifestation technique that you use.
Well, I mean, there's some of the simpler ones are, drawing a vision board.
Okay.
That's something we do right out of the gate.
Okay. So, because not everybody's going to know what a vision board is. Explain what,
Yeah,
what you're
explain
doing
that.
with a vision
Yeah.
board.
So this person that I want to become,
Okay.
what am I going to look like in 90 days?
Okay.
What are and this vision board, you can take it further down the road, right?
Sure.
To the clothes I'm going to be wearing. I'm back to work.
Okay.
Maybe there's some pictures of on this board of my workplace. Maybe it's
Okay.
pictures of me and my family from some of the good pictures that when things were really good and I
Yeah.
wasn't a mess.
Right.
I got my job back, and
Okay.
maybe there's just pictures of the future, or bringing up some of your older pictures so
Right.
that you have something to look at every day to kind of
Okay.
keep you motivated. And
That was the
driven.
hardest thing for me, Steve, was just getting into a routine again. And to be honest with you, and
Back
everybody
to
that's
life.
listening, and I've told Chris this before, it's the part I fucking hate the most, still to this day.
Right.
I do. It's not me. It's
Yeah.
It's all an act every day. It just is. For the people that are listening, they're like, "Wow, you should have went to Hollywood." I probably should have, because it is the part I hate the most. I don't like to be told what to do. I want to do what I want to do.
Right.
That
yeah.
part never left me.
Yep.
So I do commend you for tackling that part, because that is the hardest part for an addict to get back into, is any kind of routine, right?
Yeah.
I was away from society for almost 4 years
Right.
straight. Like no
yeah.
job, I was sequestered from everybody. I saw him a couple times. Just a select few people. I
You
was
probably
around at
didn't
that
want to
time.
see him either. I mean,
Who would not want to see me,
Well,
Steve? Come on, man.
I want
he
to
is
see more
the-
of you.
He is the least. When we talked about it, he's like, "I'm sorry, man. You should have said something. I just, he didn't know, and he felt bad about it. But he is
Yeah.
one of the least judgmental people you're ever
Yeah.
going to meet in your life. He just came over to
awesome.
jam at that
Yeah.
time,
That way, yeah.
and I
that
was
it.
at the worst of my addiction. So, I really appreciate that particular one there. Getting people back into some kind of routine.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want. I just learned so much about the process of recovery, man. That
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at the end of the day, the person that's fully recovered, that's not going back, they're not the same person that
No.
they were in addiction. They're a
Agreed.
different
100%.
person.
Great
They
point.
think differently. Their minds are differently. However you get there, this is a no nonsense program. It's a full out assault against addiction, right? Because
That's awesome.
Addiction doesn't take any breaks, man. So our
It doesn't.
recovery shouldn't either.
Agreed.
And my program is not about passivity, but I want people to be excited, even though I know where you're at. I've been in that pit. I'm
Right.
100 times over.
That
over
means so
35
much.
years.
Right, but see, that's the validity of it. You've been
Yes.
there. That's what our friend Mike LaRose is. He's been there. Like my first AA meeting I went to at the time, I was 20 years. I'm 55. I was 35. So everybody in there was like 65, 70. I'm like, this doesn't work. Like I can't relate to these people at all. So then I found the one the next day that was a range. It was probably people younger than me, all the way up to somebody.
A different
Right.
program.
It's still AA, but it was a different
Okay.
location. So
Okay, yeah.
the first location was everybody was grandparents, and looking back on that now, that's because the area where that was
Sure.
was 55 plus world. adult community world, right?
Yeah.
Whereas the one that I ended up going to in Tempe, it was in Tempe. What's in Tempe? ASU. So it had a wide range of age, which then I could relate more to that group than I could the one in the East Mesa because of the age gap. So it wasn't necessarily that I didn't want to go forward with it, but I needed to find something that was connecting, and that was the thing, that the age connected me with that particular meeting. And then I realized that you got a chip every time you hit 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. And that, I've told it before here, that was the reason that I stayed clean, was because I wanted to be able to give those chips to my wife. Here's 30 days sober,
Yeah,
here's that
that's
chip.
awesome,
Here's
man.
60 days, here's that chip. And then there's the frame
Oh,
for the first year of
yeah,
sobriety
Chris.
that I
Very
gave to
cool,
her.
man. Yeah, that's
so
awesome, man.
but that's the thing. So you have to find something that's gonna flip your switch to change your habits, because we're all living proof habits can change.
Well, let me
Yeah.
ask you, Mike, do you golf?
I
You
used to.
used to.
Yeah. I actually
Okay.
worked on a golf course for 4 years when I was in
Oh.
high school.
Okay. What about
Yeah.
what is it you don't like to do?
For surely
I mean,
be told
skiing,
what to do.
hunting. I mean, activity wise.
Oh, I'm not a big workout kind of guy. I could give a shit about that kind of stuff. You know,
So-
I
I
mean,
love that.
So
that's
if
where
that,
him and I are different people for sure. Yeah,
yeah, he's the beast.
he is for sure.
So if I said, Mike, part of our program is going to be working out 5 days a week. I mean, would you be excited?
No, not at all.
Right, and that's just it. Like, and I use AA as an example. I don't knock any other program, because every program out there has saved people's lives. So,
Absolutely.
But I've never
agreed.
been an AA guy, right? I
But
go
here's
in
where
there-
I'm at. Because I'm a man of my word and I'm not a hypocrite, I knew I was an addict. I don't need anyone else to tell me that, right? I figured this shit out myself. So that's why you don't hear me talking about recovery and like programs and stories. And I pride myself on not being stupid. That's the one thing that I'm super proud of, right? I got an education. I educate myself daily since I was about,
Phew, it's huge.
I don't know, since I could read, right? The one thing Chris and I have in common is we were sick a lot when we were kids. So we were
Yeah.
kept inside. We didn't get to go outside. We had to stay inside for recess, and we were alienated from the group, right? So I read a lot, and I became those books.
Yes.
I just fell into them. They became my world. And then music became my world. And as an artist, you just gain so much more perspective for the world, right?
For
To
life,
the point where your
right?
mind's expanded more than the average person by the time you're 20 instead of 30 or 40 or, you're about 10 years ahead
Wow.
just because you put the time into
Right.
doing something that normal people don't, right? So I knew I was an addict. I didn't need anybody else to tell me that. I don't knock any program. If it helped Chris, great. I love
Yes.
him as a brother. He's great. But I think it starts with you have to know where you're at, right?
Right.
You can't just tell somebody I can save you without them wanting to be saved
Oh,
themselves.
for sure, man. Yeah.
Right.
I-
Yeah,
I-
my wife was a bartender for the bulk of my last 2 years of drinking. She was a bartender at an Applebee's and a bar down in Scottsdale. So she could tell me till she was blue in the face that I had a problem, and I'm like, no, I don't, because I didn't want to hear it. She was
Yes.
right. Everybody that was telling me that was right, but you just, as an addict, you're not going to stop till you're ready to stop. Period.
For sure.
So
Period.
like you,
Yep.
30 years, right? 30 years. And 3 or 2 failed marriages that can kind of be tied to it.
3 failed marriages.
3 failed. Oh, okay.
The last
Oh.
one went 1 year.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Wow.
I forgot to tell you about that one.
That's
but
okay. That's okay.
It's a short story.
Yeah.
But, but so I commend you, Mike. And here's what I think. Are we running out of time?
Oh, we got a few more minutes. We're good.
So
You're fine,
like that, you figured you're in the minority of addicts.
And I know
figure
that.
it
That's
out.
why I don't.
Yeah.
That's why I don't
I mean,
preach
praise
that.
God, man. Good
The-
for you.
The only
Thank you.
part that I'm gonna, yeah, thank you for sure. The only part I'm gonna say is a deal breaker is if the person is not ready to recover, there's no program. I don't care what you say. I will debate that and argue it. If anybody wants to come on here and tell me that I'm wrong, I welcome it. That's why we're here,
Yep.
right?
Yes.
But they're wrong. Because
Correct.
I've never seen somebody get sent to a place and come out successful ever in my life. And I've seen lots of examples.
Same
You know, I'm
here,
not
man.
just saying, and these are personal friends of mine. These are kids I went to school with. These are bandmates. These are, you know, I could name off 10 examples off the top of my head, and none of them were successful because somebody decided for them
Right.
that they were an addict and they were going to get better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It doesn't,
that-
and it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter, like from somebody who's straight up living on a gutter to Robert Downey Jr. Right? You're not stopping unless you have the will and desire to stop. Period.
Great point.
Yep.
Like. There's no. We continuously went and saved the person in our family that was going down that path, and so we watched the cycle in the 24-hour lockdown
Yep.
to get clean. Then here the 30-day, sober facility, 24-hour care, things like that. And then we noticed a disconnect once you get out of the 30-day lockdown. They couldn't come back to where we were at because of what they were doing. So then they had to go to the halfway houses, group homes, things like that. Well, the problem with that is then you go from 24/7 care to nothing. And you're dealing with the 14 other personalities that you're the new one in the room. So all of a sudden you're a piece of crap and you're not going to be successful because the first thing you want to do is get the hell out of Dodge.
That's another great point.
Right. So yeah.
It's a super point, and it's going to go in line with is that when, like you said, it's just like when somebody gets out of jail,
Mm-hmm.
right? The first thing, they want a great meal and whatnot. They don't go
They
to
want
the
to shower
diner.
by themselves, right?
Yeah, they don't want to go to the diner right across the street from
No.
the prison. They want to
No.
get as far away as possible. So that's
Yep.
part of the core of my program is to
Yeah.
listen, we are going to build you with personal growth and self-development right out of the gate. And Mike, like you said, I'm so glad you brought it up about the books, right? I was never a reader. And today, and I don't read even today really, I listen.
Yeah,
so
I
I'm,
do
Me too
I'm an
now.
audible
We
guy.
all do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it changed my world, and that's part of how this all came about for me too. And I realized you can get away from recovery faster
Yeah.
with personal growth and self-development. And I mean, I listen to probably 30 to 40 books a year.
And you
And
know,
some
that's
of
a
them
good
10
point,
times.
Steve. That's a good point you bring up that I failed to include in my own recovery process is it was an intense, I dug down deep into myself. I solved all the, here's where I went wrong. Here's where I did wrong to people. I apologized where I could. And then I started to rebuild myself, right? That's
Man,
a very
awesome.
important point. You have to rebuild yourself and you become a new person on the other side. All three of us are not
Yes.
the same people we were before we became an addict. That would be impossible.
It would
right?
be impossible. Correct. Yeah,
We're
I mean,
better
that's-
now, and we can tell someone when you're ready, here's what you need to do. And that's what I hear from you. I'm not saying, I wasn't trying to say that I hope you didn't take it like, I was trying to say your program's not going to work. I
Oh,
was
no,
agreeing.
no.
I was agreeing with what you were saying from the
Oh.
beginning of the episode in that you had to decide, I'm ready to do this, right? And for you, you found the Lord. That's great. Everybody has to have a vehicle to get
Right.
there.
Yes.
I just call it a vehicle, right?
Yeah,
If you call
yeah.
it God, that's great. It was music for me. It's whatever for the next person. But as long as you have something to hang on to that centers you and grounds you so that you can move forward and build your character and your self-worth and wanting to be out in society, that's the one thing that I forgot as an addict is that I love people, right?
Yes.
But the self-worth, because what's one of the other common things with addicts aside from being ADHD, right? You have no self-worth.
Zero.
And then you come out of the addiction, right? And then all of a sudden you look back on what you did and then you have this shame
Oh,
because
yeah.
you're like, oh my gosh, I tell this story all
Man,
the time.
that's such a great point, dude.
Thank you. I tell this story all the time. One of the Christmases with my wife, I got her diamond earrings, and I was like, and to me, I was like, oh, I got my wife diamond earrings, and I wrapped up the package right, and I walked through the hallway. She was sitting in the great room at that house, and I tossed her the box of earrings. I said, "Merry Christmas." Turned around and went away. And I can see her face too. I tell the story because she's like, "Oh, okay, thank you." Like I was a total dick.
Oh my
I wasn't because I wasn't there emotionally.
Yeah.
Like if I could go back in time, just take those little nuances away from our life, I would, because that's the thing that when I got clean, and then you start waking up with a clear head, and then you start remembering things. At least I did.
But let
'cause
me
I
ask
wasn't-
you this.
Yeah, yeah,
That's the story you remember the most if you're ever
Mm-hmm.
going to slip, right?
right, yeah.
Those kind of things, right? If I'm even leaning towards being that person again,
Yeah.
those are the things I remember is how bad that felt, right?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you
Exactly.
wanna-
If somebody
you wanna
wants
feel
something to
that.
hang on to, remember how bad you made somebody feel, or how
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, in my case, I came home for Christmas one year and I just devastated my mother, you know, and that she's the only person walking the earth today that can still make me feel like I'm an inch tall because
Yeah.
she's still the only person that's shown me unconditional love too, right?
Yeah.
So those kind of people, when you hurt somebody like that, just like Chris did with his wife, it means something to you. And that rattled around in my head, you know?
Yeah, it does now. It means something, man. And like Chris said, just to, like today, man, it's like it's tough to get me rattled today because I'm in peace and I see the mess around me, and not just drugs and alcohol, just life in general.
Just life in general, man.
And
That's the
I
negative
just-
impact of social media.
Oof. I
For
don't
sure.
want anything in me that's gonna. I want my mind so clear because you know I need to be used to help people, man. Because you know.
So with
that's-
the decades of your addiction, okay, so then this is going to be fascinate. The answer is going to fascinate me. When you finally got to the point where there was no drinking, there was no drugs, there was no coke and crack and pot. The first week removed from that, as you woke up every day, did you have that like you get? Because like when I first stopped drinking, it's like you wake up and it's like, whoa, I don't have a headache, you know, like
For sure.
like, and I never. My biggest problem too is I drank so much water while drinking. I never really had hangovers. So you know that was the other little disguise
good.
because, right, I was because just it was good, but I wasn't good because it wasn't giving me waking up because I would drink legit, man. I would start at 3:30 in the afternoon when in the last 6 months of it, and I'd go till I could fall asleep, not drunk but comfortably numb. You know, and then you wake up and you start the whole thing over again. And a lot of it, like I can't watch baseball on TV at all because I used to watch the Diamondbacks and drink a case, or not a case, but 12 to 18 beers with 2 or 3 shots of Jack and a big bag of, what was it, Ruffles cheddar cheese sour cream chips. That was my thing. So when I stopped drinking, man, that's why I went from 234 to just, because you don't have the beer, you don't have the junk food. But I can't watch baseball on TV. Yeah, it's hard. The
100
first-
and how many episodes? I've never heard that story. That's
yeah,
great.
okay, yeah. And then the other thing too is when about the year after I stopped, I don't know if they still do it because I don't watch commercials, but they would pour Jack over ice, right, or Crown Royal or whatever
Oh,
Dewar's whiskey, right? I would salivate. I'd be watching TV. I would just start salivating and remember, oh, I had that one shot that one time that I could feel it just splash into my stomach, and then the whole body gets warm. You know what I mean? It's this
Make
weird
a
little
shot.
right, but it was
Maybe
a hell
that'll
of a
kick the rest of my cold.
See, Mike has the luxury of being able to drink and control it. I don't.
I was never an alcoholic.
Right. So that's
I don't
So
like
let's-
feeling
let's-
like that at all. I
Yeah.
was fortunate
Yeah.
in that.
Yeah,
It's a lack of
I
control
thought I
for a
could
lot of
keep
us.
drinking, even after the drugs. And I finally, and that was just another part of the change in the last few years. Like it just everything just starts to come together for me. Because I went years thinking I didn't have a problem, but I owned bars and I think I did have a problem. So,
just
but,
a little bit. So as we come to a wrap here, let's give people an idea how to find your book and where to find you online.
Okay.
And so I want you to drop the name of the book, where they can find it once it gets published, and then what's your YouTube channel, and if there's a specific website they go to just centered around you in the process.
Okay, so the book is called The Process: A Radical Approach to Recovery, and my website is I'm all brand new, man. I don't
Yeah,
even,
you're
my
good.
channels aren't all out
Okay.
yet, but
Okay.
I have a website with just very basics. I just got live, which is radicalrecovery.com, and it's not
Okay.
recovery, it's COVRY,
Recovery.
So recovery.
RadicalRecovery.com.
'cause that's
And we're going to
all
have
of
you
my
back on
links.
once the, yeah. Okay. Once the
Awesome.
book's out for a couple months, we'll get you back on like in November or October, November.
Awesome,
And
man.
we can plug all your things as well. So the book is called The Process, The Radical Road to Recovery, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, a radical approach to recovery.
Radical Coach Recovery. And then where are you going to find that online? Amazon's?
It's going to be on Amazon. It's with TBN Publishing, and
Okay.
so everywhere. I mean, they're all over the world. So
Cool.
definitely Amazon.
Okay.
Any
Barnes
Barnes
and
and
Noble, all those,
Nobles.
yeah, yeah.
All the big
The
outlets.
big, okay, cool.
And yeah, so that's all I have out there right now. But it'll be out there. We're talking September, man. I'm excited.
Okay, cool. And people can
That's
find you
awesome.
on Facebook. It's just searching Steve Feldman.
Yeah, Steve Feldman. Yes.
Okay, cool. Anything else
Are you
want
on
to add?
Instagram?
It's not built up yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Start
I'm-
working
I'm
on it. We'll
fresh,
help you
man.
with that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll
Get
definitely-
on there and friend us, or
Okay.
Are you
I'll
on
do
there?
that. I am.
okay, I'll find you and I'll friend you, and we'll help you with that for sure.
Man, I appreciate
We're
you
just kind of
guys.
getting that part going ourselves. Our YouTube channel is pretty robust, but Instagram has been. I lagged behind. Chris didn't have access to it, so everybody go. If you have Instagram, sign up with us, and Steve
Yeah,
for
there you
sure.
go. Yeah,
Yep. I'm gonna jump on all your stuff, man. I appreciate you guys.
yeah.
This has been great. Thank you for the opportunity.
Really
Yeah.
nice to meet you, and
You-
incredible
absolutely.
story, and congratulations on everything, man.
Yeah, and
Thank
again,
you,
I don't.
guys.
When people write books, I don't like to share all the books content because I want people to go buy it.
Yeah.
So
man.
For sure.
that's why we just kind of a little bit of softball innuendos, because we want people to get enough out of this to think, oh, that could help. Because I
Yeah.
dig the fact that it's a workbook.
Yeah. That's
Because
yeah.
the workbook's cool because then it takes ownership. It's hard to rebel against something that you agree to do for yourself. So having to write
Yeah.
it down in a workbook and a daily accountability every 2 weeks per step I think that's fantastic, man.
Well, I appreciate you guys, and this format is awesome, man. I really enjoyed it.
Thank
So,
you, thank you.
Yeah.
Michael was tuning in for pretty much the whole episode again.
Hi, Michael.
You got to go check out the live stream on YouTube there,
Yeah.
Mr. Dunham.
I will.
He
I will
said
go check it out.
he'll be checking Steve out, and great show. So thanks for tuning in again, Michael. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
And Ken says he's looking forward to Friday. So
Woohoo!
a
Right
couple
on.
people chiming in on the YouTube. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, and we close every show with this. Don't let the bad days win. Somebody will miss you and love you if you don't wake up tomorrow. So reach out to anybody that you think of that you can talk to. It really is going to be better tomorrow. Just, take a deep breath, close your eyes, go to sleep, and wake up tomorrow. It's a brighter, better day. Somebody misses you and somebody somebody loves you. So, make sure you're there present in the morning.
Love it.
Right?
Thank you,
Steve
guys.
Feldman, thank you very much. The book, The Process, coming out in September. It's a radical approach to recovery. We're gonna have you back on after the book comes out, and we can plug all your social medias again and just kind of get a feel for what kind of response the book had, because I'm interested to see that, because it is such a different approach to getting out of addiction. So you definitely want to check it out. For Steve Feldman, Mike Michaels, I'm Chris Dunham. Until next time, see you.
Peace.
Love you,
Thanks.
brother.
Love you too, man.
Bye.
Nice to meet
Love you, Steve.
Nice meeting you guys.